Yesterday, Brian Kelly met with GeauxTigers at WAFB. And listen, the team asked me today, like, hey, do you want the clip from GeauxTigers in reference to what BK had said? And I said no, because you've seen it by now. I'm not going to waste 2 minutes of your life and my life on a clip that you've already seen. But we are going to talk about it. So to preface this, I am going to break down what Brian Kelly said in 3 different parts. The beginning of a statement, the middle of a statement, which got everybody in a tizzy, and the end of his statement, which he says, don't panic, which I actually do agree with him to some extent, but not fully. Let's get into it right here. Okay. So Jock asked BK basically, hey, where are you at defensive tackle? And Brian Kelly, and I'm quoting, like this is quoting him. It's not my perception. He said, basically, I know that I came out a couple of times during spring and brought up the topic of defensive tackle. With that being said, it's not going well. Let's stop right there and talk about that. What Brian Kelly admitted is that they do have an issue there. There are a lot of things that you got to break down in what it is that he said. And I watched the entire interview today that went longer, which everybody said, oh, that gave more context. That did not give more context. His words were his words in what he said. The context was he hit a lot of different bullet points that you got to break down. But he's actively telling you. He's actively telling his current D-line room. He's currently telling his D-line coach. He's telling his DC. He's telling you as LSU fans. And how are you going to react? You know, it's interesting. He said when things aren't going well, later in the conversation, he would say, well, look, that's why we brought in Austin Thomas, because I cannot be everywhere at every given moment, bringing a guy in. I didn't used to have to need that. I didn't need Austin Thomas to help me manage my roster. But now with the NIL world, I do. So what he's admitting is, in theory, hey, we needed the help. He's going to be over getting us that help in NIL. Now, when he says it's not going very good, I feel the frustration of where college football is in reference to some of the price tags that are out there. So we will get to that in a moment, but that is the frustration, what you're seeing from every college head coach in the country. That right there. I'm sure it is frustrating, but it's going to get more frustrating very soon when players are getting a cut of the TV revenue. If you think that players are making a crap load of money right now, boy, do I have something to tell you. Ross Dellinger reported, I think it was like 5 days ago, that there is a structure that is being put in place. It's not formal and it's not through, but there is a structure being put in place in reference to players, specifically football, getting paid a part of the TV revenue. I think that that's fair, and it's going to trickle down to every other sport. Baseball is going to be the same. If there is any money there, every single sport is going to be the same. It comes based off of the NCAA lawsuit. You can go read all of those details. I'm not going to break that down. But for the number one bullet point, BK is telling you, look, guys, the pursuit of this is not going well. That is the context of what he's saying. So now let's get to number 2. And what brought everybody out of their seat and made Carter's post of GeauxTigers video mega viral. Brian Kelly said, and I'm quoting, "We are not in the business of buying players." Stop. Stop right there. What? Come on, man. But it's not the context. If you want to say, well, that's not the context that he's saying it, you are right. What he's trying to say is, and probably could have said, or a couple of different things, is we're not going to get in a bidding war. Now, you have Oklahoma people coming out today, and I have been scouring all the Oklahoma stuff, and everybody, their reporters, their NIL people, one of the guys that runs their NIL collective, and saying, I don't know where these figures are coming from, but we didn't pay anybody that amount of money. I don't know what's true anymore about if Demonic Williams wanted $1.2 million. But Brian Kelly saying we're not in the market of buying players comes on the heels of one player and one player only. This has nothing to do with the other guys that you went after. Now, I probably should have clipped this. I literally told you that last night. I literally told you that the night before. I told you that on Monday. I told you that on Friday night. And then when everybody else says, hey, guys, this is based off of one player, it was like a lot of you had only heard that for the first time. The fugsy you did, because I know for an outright fact, F-A-C-T, fact, that we said this on Friday, Monday, Tuesday, and we're saying it again here. It's about one player. My issue in saying we're not buying players is the way that you worded it. Now, it doesn't matter what I think on the way that you worded it. Brian Kelly had, since Friday, when he knew that this question was going to be asked, how to attack it. And I think it was smart. Listen to me. Hold on. It was smart by him in some ways. Let me explain. If you've noticed, a lot of the LSU fan base has come out and said, Coach, we back you 1,000%. You should not be paying for buying players. Well, I had Jake Crane from Crane & Company on today. If you missed that, go over to our YouTube channel. It's all on there. You can see it. Teams like LSU have been paying players since the early 70s. Since Bear Bryant was alive, players that go and play college football have been getting paid. And I warned you about 2 years ago, you're really, really, really going to be seeing how the sausage is being made. Now, players are more than likely and probably making more. And I don't fault. Now, listen to me and listen to me here. I don't fault BK for not getting in a bidding war. I don't fault Bo Davis, Blake Baker, Scott Woodward, Austin Thomas, Bayou Traditions. None of them. I don't fault them for that. What I fault them on, okay, if there is a fault, is you had Eli Drinkwitz in Missouri that pulled away from Demonic Williams. Texas pulled away from Demonic Williams. Why? Because they probably thought that his price tag was a little too high. If it is $1.2 million, okay, let somebody else pay for that. That's fine. Simeon Barrows wasn't. And I know what you're going to say, because there's a lot of info that's out there. Well, Blake, Simeon Barrow was asking for money that what we pay a guy like Will Campbell. Well, the fairness, hear me on this, paying over market value for a guy like Simeon Barrow in reference to where you're at DT is the realistic nature of what you spend. You're not spending more than your highest player. He's not your highest player, but it's in a reasonable amount for you to give a player and not break the bank and get better. Because, again, I will warn you, and I will clip this, I will warn you, there are going to be teams that can and will run the football on you. And you needed that help. The market value for a guy like Braden Fisk, for a guy that has gone into the portal, is about that. I don't think Simeon Barrow is Braden Fisk, not even close. What I do know is is it's not exceeding something absolutely astronomical to go up and get a guy. It's not. That is the realistic thing, if those numbers are true, paying over market value. But take both of those out. Both of them. Take both of Simeon Barrow, take him out of the equation. Demonic Williams, take him out of the equation. What about the others? Because I'm going to tell you, and if you're going to say, well, Blake reported, it's fine by me. CJ West committed to Indiana today. CJ West did not get that type of money. Now, maybe they didn't think he could play. Maybe he could. That's on them. But there's been multiple defensive tackles in the portal. Harmon goes to Oregon. He did not get that type of money. And you would have not had to pay that type of money. Now, I hear a lot of people and see a lot of people saying, well, man, is that guy just a rotational piece? Maybe he would have been a rotational piece, or some of these guys would have been rotational pieces. But as of right now, guys, it's about if they are better than what you currently have. It's not about what is a rotational piece. It's not about, hey, man, this guy might not be what a caliber LSU defensive tackle is. Maybe you're right. But you've known since mid-January that this was a position that you needed to go after. The number one defensive tackle in the portal, which is, the rumor or even reported, was Walter Nolan. And Walter Nolan got somewhere in the proximity of $600,000 to $700,000. That is what the going price was. Everybody goes, no, he made like $520,000. The bullshit he did, because I know that there was a signing bonus. I know that what he's going to get paid monthly. So again, some of those lower numbers, that is probably about market value for a guy that has serious production in a guy like Simeon Barrow. It was never, for me at least, about getting the top premier dude. It was about getting better at that position that you currently are. We're going to talk about that in a minute, because their actions, meaning Bo Davis, Blake Baker's actions, continue to show, even though Brian Kelly said what he said yesterday with Jock was like, hey, man, we're going to be okay. We're going to get to that in a moment. But you can't tell me that you're going to be okay and then continue to go out there and offer other guys that are in the portal at defensive line. You can't. That is the fault that I have. The unorganization, which it feels like. I'm not saying there is. It felt like that. Now, number 3. Brian Kelly did say that, look, we're going to be all right. I don't disagree with him. I don't. And I've come out here from Friday, Monday, Tuesday, and today, and have told you, guys, I think you're getting to 9 wins. Guys, I think you're getting to 9 wins. Guys, I think you're getting to 9 wins. And you would have thought I said, fire BK. It's not remotely close. Your schedule is favorable. I think you can beat USC. I think you can beat South Carolina. I think that you can beat UCLA. I think you can beat Vanderbilt, Florida. You're going to beat a lot of teams on your schedule. You are more talented than 9 teams on your schedule. What I don't know is, can you beat an Ole Miss? Can you beat an Alabama? And, do you split a game, going on the road to Kyle Field? You don't play well there. Guys, since 2019, 2018, you have not played well at Kyle Field. Oh, by the way, you're coming off back-to-back road games. You got Arkansas and Fayetteville, and then you turn right around and go to Texas A&M. But I've said that every single time. What I have said there are too many question marks on this team right now, in my opinion, that I do not know if you can be a playoff team. I don't know that. Guys, you're going to have different boundary corners. Well, Blake, what about Zy Alexander? Guys, Zy Alexander tours ACL in late October. Like, are we expecting him to come in here week 1 and be ready to go? I don't know that. You're relying during a spring game, a true freshman in PJ Woodland who has to come in here and play for you because he's better than the guys that you currently had on the roster. Because there is no misunderstanding. Like, I think you're going to be good offensively. I think you got the best offensive line in the country. I do think that you're going to stun some people at wide receiver. I think your running back room is extremely talented. But I understand what happens everywhere across the country with a first-time starting quarterback. There are going to be times they make wrong decisions. Jane Daniels, 2022. What was your complaint? Now, he wasn't a first-time starter, but it was the first time that he was in a competent program. And I love Herm. I love Herm. But I don't mean this in the wrong way. Herm was one of the worst coaches in college football. Bottom line. Bottom line, he was. So I have said all of this. Said you're going to get to 9 wins. There are too many question marks for me defensively that says, hey, man, I don't know if Ole Miss doesn't have a better roster than you. By the way, I don't know if Alabama's offensive line with an offensive-minded head coach who, guys, Kalen DeBoer's a really, really good play caller. I know that they come to Death Valley. Do I think you can beat them? Yeah, I do. But do I think with this JFK $50 piece, 50-cent piece, do I flip it up and say heads or tails, are they going to win? Also, yes. You know what? Let me pause right there. That's not even I fall on that opinion. When I fall on that opinion, and I fell on that opinion 2 weeks ago, the lines for these games start coming out, and LSU's a 1-point favorite at home, which really in college football, you're giving 3 points at home. So what really the true line is Alabama -2. Which not that it matters because the games still have to be played. I agree they are going to be fine. I agree with BK. They are going to be fine. But there is a difference in reference to being fine and you telling us or him telling us or the expectations here, which he has acknowledged. Again, not on me, that he has publicly acknowledged by year 3 we need to be in playoff contention. So I will let you, since you think that I am which is so astronomically fucking stupid, since you think that I am coming down on him, that is his words. I will let you make that own determination. But what I won't do is change my opinion off of something that I see, like a Miles Brennan, like LSU being the number 1 offense in the country like we predicted last year, like Jane Daniels and me coming out here and said, hey, guys, guess what? I just placed a $100 bet on Jane Daniels to win the Heisman. By the way, the odds are plus 4,000. I think you guys, I went to fall camp. And I saw it with my own eyes and came back and said, I will never forget this, a Saturday scrimmage last fall. I came back and said, guys, I went ahead on betonline.ag, which you can use the promo code BELIEVE50 to get 50% off of your welcome bonus. I placed a $100 bet plus 4,000 that Jane Daniels will win a Heisman. It hit. It hit. Last thing, and I want all of your input. I'm not going to I'm going to let you do it. So right now, this is what I want you to do before we finish up. I want you to go in the comment section. I want you to tell me everything that you believe. And I'm just going to come up and read the comments. What is your opinion about what Brian Kelly said? Put it in the comments right now. Put it in the comments. Here's the last thing before we get to that. LSU offered JVR Suggs from Grand Valley State. Now, he had 5 sacks last season, 7.5 tackles for loss, and 21 sacks. The LSU, per reports, is also going after Aiden Huntington from ULM, who had a massive explosion at ULM, coming from Kent State, goes to ULM. He had 16.5 tackles for loss last year, 85 sacks, or 8.5 sacks, excuse me, not 85 sacks. I missed the period there. And he had 63 tackles. Now, here's my opinion. I don't know if those guys are coming in here to play the interior of the defensive line. What I would assume is that Brian Kelly, if he could land one or both of these guys, would pivot to put somebody else in the middle. Maybe Savion. I do not know. But if you're going to go after those two guys, maybe they do play the edge. But if you're going to, and I'm quoting, be okay, which I don't necessarily disagree, because I still, and I will get to this in one moment, I think that if you were fully okay, you wouldn't have offered Suggs today. Now, here's what's being missed in all of this too. Okay? I do think that you have a very good staff that can scheme up to win you a game, maybe that you're not the more talented team in. Now, I say that, but it's exactly what Kalen DeBoer did last year at Washington. Guys, the both times that he faced off against Oregon, the time that he faced off against Texas, some would say he did not have the talent that those other teams did, especially defensively, that they outcoached and out-schemed everybody, which to some degree I agree with them. But I do believe schematically you can outcoach teams.